Are we good? Can you see me? Let me know when you can see me and we're good to go. Because I can't. I don't know if you can see me. You can see me. Thank you, Dinner. Hey, now, first of all, who do we have in the chat? We have Jacob. Who else do we have? We have... Is it Coupon? Who is it? Is it Coupon? Oh, click and receive coupon. I think that's the dealio there. Click and receive coupon. Where is the bottom of this? Oh, there it is. Click and receive coupon. We got clicked up to pick the advert. So hello, clicked up to pick the advert. We've got, who else have we got? We got Wang Yuxing, sub Wang Yuxing, how you doing? Oh, so we got Blue Dinner Box, sub Dinner Box, how you doing? Yeah, I think that's everyone. Fan Ching Yang, hello Fan Ching Yang, how are you today? We're gonna give it a minute. We're gonna give it a minute just before we get into it. Fun fact before we get into it, actually, I was initially gonna use a translation that I found via machine learning, just because it had like the whole entire album's worth of translations within it, but it ended up to be kind of scuffed. So we've got the normal song. Wow, it's I really wish you could get rid of the ad here. But thank you to you all for coming along to watch the live stream anyways. We're going to be looking through this entire album today. Can I make that smaller? Yeah. Greatest works of art. So I'll do the normal intro thing, and then we'll get into it, okay? Okay, let's do the intro. Sup, Shredders. My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB live streams where today we're going to be reviewing the final album, or the most recent album, from Jay Chou titled The Greatest Works of Art. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen here, or the album on the screen here. It's 12 tracks. 12 songs today. Going from, going from intro all the way down to, what is the last track? Let's figure that out. What is the last track? Does it have, it has them here. The last track is I Truly Believe. So that's interesting. I Truly Believe. I know you guys have had some strong opinions on it. So I'm interested to see what they are and hear what they are as we go along. I'm going to give my usual thoughts after we listen through it and have a look through the lyrics. I don't think the intro will have lyrics, but we could be wrong. Yep. Good. Just as a final note, this was meant to be the 10,000 subscriber special. Now we're at 12,000 subscribers now, so we've kind of blown by that. I just want to give you guys a quick thank you for supporting the channel. I understand that that has meant you guys have probably gotten a lot of music reviewed that you've enjoyed, which is good, and I look forward to doing a lot more. I haven't really spoken about the albums we're doing in future, but we're looking at least another 2 album reviews. I'd like to review another David Tao album, and I'd like to also review the second Omnipotent Youth Society one. But there's also another few artists that I'd like to check out. Fuji Kaze has also been someone I'd like to check out at some point, which is good. I know I've checked out one of his albums. It'd be good to check out another one. There seems to be people interested in that. But yeah, let's just get into it. We're going to start with, what is the first track? The first track is titled, or intro. So we'll just listen to the intro. Let's go. And Jacob, Blue Dinner Box says, I listened to this album again this morning and confirm my thoughts on this album. I'm just going to make it a bit bigger. There we go. Confirm the album. I can see you now. That's good. I'm glad that you've confirmed your thoughts on it. It's always good to know how you feel or think about things. And Jacob says, the song Greatest Work of Art. Oh, hang on. I've just realized that we need to... There you go. That'll be better. So we'll lower that a little bit. Lower that a little bit. Just trying to make it so that there's a nice balance between, like, the chat stuff. Yeah. How big do we want that? Yeah, we'll go a bit further down. Yeah, we'll do that. That's a good amount. That's a good amount. Cool. All right, let's just get started on intro. We've got Jacob saying the song Greatest Work of Art remains one of my personal favorites. That's great. We'll see how that... We'll see. I want to listen through it again because I'm not as familiar as I probably should be to make a comment on it at this point. And we've got Jay made this album by many years and the voice changed a lot. Well, it'll be good to hear how Jay's voice is, because we reviewed the 14th album not too long ago, Bedtime Stories, and I was still pretty happy with how he sounded. Not that I'm the litmus test for someone's success, but Let's just continue. Let's just do it. Intro. Let's go. Intro. He's showcasing his piano ability. I think you can ask for much more than that. Oh, freeform with the tempo. Okay, I think that was a really clever intro. We haven't really had many intros to Jay's albums. Usually we've just got a kind of a banger to start things off. It's usually a 3 to 4 minute piece. But I think this is a nice direction to go in. It hints, I think, with the intro that we're potentially looking at a more instrumental focus within this, or at the very least we're looking at more Jay's work as a pianist. And I'd be kind of keen to hear more of that, as I know that Jay is a classically trained pianist, as I understand it. I could be mistaken. Feel free to let me know. Well, this is for time traveling. That makes sense, because I think the greatest works of art is based off of time traveling or something like that, isn't it? Yeah. So, but that's a cool start, though. You know, it's really nice and articulate, nice and bright. Great use of the keys. Time for a track number 2, greatest works of art. Oh, we've got lyrics for you guys. There we go. On to it today. Nice switch from the more percussive to melodic rapping. His voice has changed a little bit. I mean, like, there's a nice flamenco feel with some of the strings there. I think that there is a romanticism that's associated with, like, the string melodies and the accordion. The trap drums inherent with that is a kind of fun touch. It's a little bit unique. I haven't really heard much stuff like this before. And I think that Jay's showing off his ability not only as a rapper. I think that his clean vocals in this part with a bit of filtering add a little bit of mystery to it. It's really charming to listen to. Great use for classical guitar here. Great adjustment. I mean, that's ferocious. I mean, like, if it's actually, I think it defies a lot of modern mythology in regards to the way that we do singles in 2022. Because a lot of the time, I think a lot of people are more sort of concerned with trying to make it catchy, trying to make it engaging, trying to make it more something that people consider more easily digest, whilst also being overstimulated. Here, we simply have the story being told in the first quarter or the first third. We then have the flamenco guitar, a little solo there, an instrumental part where there's a sense of emptiness there, a lovely arrangement and sense of warmth with the accordions. And then we just have an incredible piano solo there. Really articulate, very technical, very quick, nice and clean as well, showcasing his skill there. And it's like, what is going to happen next? It makes the composition unpredictable. And I think that's a really smart way to go with things, especially as the opening single. I mean, like, I think that I'll go back a little bit because we're clearly going into a part where it's crescendoing, but there's just so much variety within this track that it makes it lovable on that own. There's a clear amount of attention and perspective being put in. It does seem like Jay Chou is going on a journey here, and oh, we aren't going double time. It's a very different experience without the video, if I'm honest. I do. Is that is an accordion, right? That is an accordion with the strings. Yeah, I've noticed that you guys are talking about things such as, he used an old microphone to record the chorus. Jacob says it's went through all the greatest artists like Chopin, Van Gogh, and Salvador Dali. And then he explored the sadness behind losing inspiration as an artist, so he's relating it back to himself. Apparently, he, as we mentioned before, he also recorded the chorus in Paris Opera House from the 1800s using a microphone from the 50s. Those rap flow are also so fire in the second part of the song. I think that his rap parts are solid. I think that his bars are definitely there. It'll be interesting to look through the lyrics. So we're going to look through the lyrics now. So far, I'm reasonably happy with it. I really wish there was a way. Can I get rid of that? I can. Cool. I'm glad I could do that. In a vintage suit holding a cane, I play a magical sonata. Stroll through. Yeah, no, it's definitely very, very, very European, isn't it? An empire without limits, a throne paved for music notes with my piano. I travel to the timeless 1920s. Remember, he's a painter, not a cocktail. Who gave Dali and his curled mustache something to think about? That's an interesting line. Who gave Dali and his curled mustache something to think about? I like that line. I think it's very creative. I bent the spoon, lent the inspiration. And a garden full of sunshine, the fragrance of flowers fill the air. I asked Monet for help. Can he paint me a portrait? All the bustle in this world is born from loneliness. So yeah, absolutely. As Jacob mentioned before, from what I can tell, this is Jay Chou talking about various creative and artistic inspirations, and maybe lamenting his own situation as a musician. Maybe he's going back in time to look for inspiration for his own music. Maybe that is why we're going with the classical direction here. Maybe we went too far in the EDM-ish direction, but then we also had like the trap drums and everything like that were stuck together with the bass and they were stuck together with the keys and accordions and everything like that. I think that nonetheless, it is indicative of Jay maybe going for a bigger concept within this album, maybe exploring his own ability as a composer and trying to come to terms with his place in his career. It's very beautiful though. The lyrics, the way it's written, the lyrics are gorgeous, and I think it's very satisfying to tell this tale, And Jay changed the first word I to bro, which means me, but I am your brother. Interesting. I mean, like, you look at the grass celebrates a shower of rain. We are both deeply in love with this world. The butterfly that rested at Cambridge flies to Florence along the river at midnight. Yeah, it's wonderful. I think this is like maybe, if not the pinnacle, one of the high points in regards. Because I mean, you're saying that this lyric was written by A. Lang. So A. Lang is just a phenomenal lyricist in general. The work that I've read from A. Lang is just to die for, man. But yeah, ultimately, I think that when you compare the various elements within this track, the various instruments, the way they played there, the various motifs with the story, they match well. The production's commercial grade. I'm very, very happy with it. Really great first impression. It is a little bit of a shame, though, because it makes me wonder where we're going to go from here. As I understood it, the greatest works of art. A lot of people have been talking about how this is the big track. So I am hoping that we do get to explore more interesting stuff throughout this album. But anyways, track number 3 for today. Still Wandering. Still Wandering. Oh, there are lyrics for this. That's good. Really bright, shimmering tone to the piano. Nice parallel there. Oh, we got some Melodyne on it. Who else is involved in this one? We've got Vincent Fang with... Oh. This is number 3, right? Who is that? Is there someone else? I thought it was a different singer there. Or has his voice changed that much? I mean, like, it's a fun sound though. Woo! It's creative. I've heard it in previous Jay Chou tracks, but it's still nice and welcome here. Or variations of it. I think you can also not only... You see, it sounds too deep, so deep. Yeah, Jay's voice does sound deep. I think that's just his voice aging. Sometimes when people get older, their voices get lower. Not like through puberty, but when they get like into their 30s and 40s, etc., I'm glad that you like it, LC. That's awesome. Welcome to the live stream. Here we go. We had it. Every album, the woo!
上，触碰美好的那时光，能否再遇上？老旧的车站，空旷的车厢，怀念从前的人来人往。最伟大的灯泡。
Really nice, satisfying glow into the kick here.
过去的背包就留在异乡，于是我决定离开这个地方。
Okay, we're copy and pasting. That's okay.
那年的约定都放在心上，水上的照片里，你微笑的模样，亲爱的，你现在怎么样？当你手掉时，我还在流浪，想起牵着手走过的小巷，我依然记得年少去玩的那教堂，还有一句话爱心的那道墙。
I see that this track is a little bit divisive with your shredders in the chat. Some of you like this track, some of you don't. I will say though, I can hear that some of the head voice that he's using is a little bit more difficult for him than in previous years. But if I'm honest, I'd rather he play it safe with his vocal range. You know, I'd rather he play it safe with his vocal range, especially as he's had issues with his throat in the past. You know, I don't want him to hurt himself. So it's good that he's just going to his falsetto for those shifts. I mean, everything else within the composition sounds really pleasant and palatable, and I can understand how Blue Dinner Box is confusing it with older songs. I can definitely understand that perspective there. It does have similarities. Oh, nice adjustment there with the 16th kicks.
当你手掉时，我还在流浪，那年的约定都放在心上，水上的照片里，你微笑的模样，亲爱的，你现在怎么样？当你手掉时，我还在流浪，想起牵着手走过的小巷。 我依然记得年少去玩的那教堂，还有一句话爱心的那道墙。
I think one of the highlights for me is the variation within the different drum groups. I think the percussion is fantastic in this. Really interesting. We don't just stick into eighths and quarter note rhythms. Is that like is that a electric kit that they're using for the cymbal shimmers, or are they using an acoustic or like a split version of that? You know, I think that we'll look at the lyrics. I'm glad that Jay is doing vocal training. I really appreciate that. It's so much because it can just. Yeah, it sucks when people don't get vocal training and they just kind of continue to sing in a way where it hurts them, and they maybe they just don't learn from that, and they then just can't sing anymore. I'm glad that Jay Chou got the help. Elsie says, if you analyze it, yeah, I can see why this isn't the best track of all time, but it's heartfelt. I think that's why I like it. And that's cool. Don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the track personally. I'm not sure if you're talking to me or other people. But I think that there's a lot to appreciate here. It's definitely musically sound. The audio production is tight. And the vocal performance, it's more like I hear it and I can hear that like there's a bit of hesitation on Jay's part with some of the higher notes. And that's honestly not a bad thing because I'd rather he be careful again. I think that I'm not sure if it would have been benefited from being more instrumentally complex. I think that there was a simpler track than we had, because I think that, especially when we're talking about our influences musically, you kind of need to play some crazy stuff on the piano to mirror some of the influences Jay might have had when he was younger, like the stuff that we talked about. It's really cool though, still. And I hope that Jay can find success too with this new era of his vocals, and I'm glad that David is finding success too. I mean that genuinely. So we've got the lyrics for this. This is Won't Cry, apparently track number 3. Oh, no? Oh no, this one. Sorry, I was on the wrong one. Still Wandering. Sorry, I'm Still Wandering. So, fourth has better vocal because the song was released in 2019. Good to know. So this is, Still Wandering, an old book stand and empty beer bottles scattered across the ground. Spent memories left by the road, spotted with rust. Oh, so is he looking back on how things used to be and feeling nostalgic or missing it? Is that the aim we're going for here? Oh yeah, he's talking about how he had to leave and he kind of misses how things used to be, right? By the time you get my letter, I'll still be wandering. I remember the alleys we strolled through hand in hand, the church we first kissed in when we were young, how we painted our hearts together on that wall. Oh, alright, so if I just make some general comments about this track, I feel that the percussion in this was incredibly strong. There were a nice variety of different drum grooves there, especially on the tail ends of some of the different sections with the transitions. That was really fun. The bass was relatively minimalist and had a nice portamento in the low end, which allowed things to be very smooth. And it did kind of remind me of a lot of Jay Chou's earlier stuff in regards to like the R&B mentionings that you guys talked about earlier. I think that with this song, I'm trying to sort of associate how it sounds with the lyrics, and the motif, especially with those guitars, sounds kind of wistful. Like it's very kind of moody, but in like a chilled ambience kind of way. So we're not exaggerating the way we feel about it, but it's kind of like you feel like a ghost in your own town, if that makes sense. And I kind of appreciate the attention to detail there with the textures and timbres associated, as well as the effects chains. The piano playing is a lot more relaxed in this one because I think it's more of a ballad. But like either way, it's a strong tune. I can understand why people such as Elsie like it. I think it's really good, and I think Kisei as well. But yeah, it's a really strong album so far, to be honest. I really appreciate these first three tracks. The next song has Ashin Chen in it, which will be cool. If I'm not mistaken, I think that Ashin Chen is Ashin from Mayday. Am I incorrect with that? I hope I'm not, but we'll continue anyways. Track number 4. Really gorgeous, actually, with the strings coming in that second half.
没有了联络，后来的生活，我倒是听别人说，说你怎么了，说你怎么过，放不下的人是我。人多的时候就待在角落，就怕别人问起我。你们怎么了？你低着头护着我，连抱怨都没有。电话开始多，从不对我说不喜欢一个人生活。离开我以后，要我好好过。
It's a familiar chord progression.
都这个时候你还在意着别人是怎么看我的，拼命解释这不是我的错，是你要走。眼看着你难过，挽留的话却没有说，你会微笑放手。
Really charming, really, you know.
说还不哭让我走。
I would be interested to see Jacob Howe or hear Jacob Howe was memed. This seems like a really sweet track. I think the combination of the guitar, piano parts, with the way it flows between different cascading sections. You can tell that drums and bass and stuff are going to come in a bit later on. It seems like the ballad format, but it's just very charming. Jay's vocals do sound a little bit different in this one, but I still think they're relatively on par with a lot of the stuff I've heard recently. It's like, I think we were still hesitant even like in 2019 with it. It's nice to hear it. It's nice to honestly hear that we're doing like a ballad and then another ballad, as opposed to like what we have with some albums as well, where we go from like a ballad to like an advert song to like a crazy one. You know, there's less wild stuff in a way which maybe people weren't expecting me to be okay with. Really pretty on the right hand though. Here we go. Yeah. Great harmonies here. Are both of them singing at the same time? Makes sense. Oh, nice arpeggios here. Oh, that was smooth. Oh, that's a beautiful way to finish. Absolutely gorgeous way to finish. And such phenomenal chemistry between the two of them as well, from a performance perspective. Yeah, I can understand why that's so positive. Why that's so popular, should I say. Jacob says, it's the message that was memed in a lot of China TikTok and a lot of parodies. I assume that message is going to make more sense if we look through the lyrics, which we'll do with a second. And in fact, the song was adapted a melody he wrote for perfume advertisements, and that melody has better rhythm and better arrangement. Good to know. That's interesting. But yeah, so that was Won't Cry. That is Won't Cry. Okay, cool. Just before we go into, yeah, so lyric time. There we go. Sick. We haven't been in touch. I've heard from others how you've been. Oh. Okay, this seems pretty straightforward. Now you're the one who wanted to leave. Usually Jay, when he does collaborations like this, he does a woman if they collab and they kind of have the conversation backwards and forwards. I watched as you were sad. I didn't say anything to urge you to stay. You had said not to cry as you let me go. Even at this time you're still caring about how others see me. You give your all to explain it's not my fault. Maybe you're the one who wanted to leave. You had nothing, yet you still supported my dreams. After your heart has ached for such a long time, you're still looking for a reason to wait for me. I think that's a really important point, Fan Qing Yang. He's still a genius at writing melodies, but I don't feel as emotionally impactful as before. Why do you think that is? No, I would like to hear. What do you think's changed between his earlier work and now? I'd like you to tell me, because from my personal opinion, I think that this music, the detriment of having better produced music is that it sounds more polished. And sometimes the best music can be just a little kind of gritty and a little kind of messy. And this is something that I've heard Jacob talk about in the past, where he's mentioned that, he's mentioned that sometimes it can be better to have a bit stuff that's a bit rougher because it just seems a bit better, a bit more real, or something along those lines. But I would agree with that. In this instance, I think some of Jay's earlier works are more impactful because he had to really work to get those performances. At this point in his career, Jay is just so good at what he does that I don't know how much, I think, I don't know how difficult it is for him to do the vocal parts because he's done so many different vocal bits before. And potentially as well, it's like, do I think that Jay Chou can actually relate to this? Do I actually think that Jay Chou can relate to this? And I think that the guy is as I understand it, he's in a happy marriage at this point. you know, he's in a happy marriage at this point. He has kids. Can Jay Chou, with your understanding of the person, really relate to this? Because if I was releasing music when I was in a happy marriage with stuff like this, after 14 albums, I don't know, I would be kind of like, why am I feeling like I need to tell people this? I think it's good to communicate stuff like this, but is this the message he wants to tell at this point in his career? And if so, are people going to believe it? I mean, I agree. I think the melodies are fantastic. I just don't know if you're going to get a lot of authenticity from someone who maybe isn't provably or identifiably like, I don't know if you're really necessarily going to vibe with that, because it just doesn't seem like it's him at the moment. Shin Yuda says, personally, I think this album is the most mediocre of all Jay's albums. And that's a fair, that is a fair opinion to have. I think that there are points to be made for and against that. And I'm sure that you guys will discuss it in the comments. I haven't heard this album in its entirety yet. But what I will say is that I think that there is stuff here that showcases Jay's ability. I think the piano stuff is fantastic. But outside of the piano work and songs like Greatest Works of Art, I don't know if I've heard anything so far that transcends what I've heard from Jay in previous works. It'll be interesting to see if that changes. And just to approach the point that Jacob released, I think a lot of dislike I had for the album was because a lot of these songs are preloaded. And I get it, because it's like, couldn't he just have released more music original to the record? But at the same time, I think that, to be fair, is it possible that Jay released so many singles that it just made more sense for him to have those included within this? Is it not a good thing that he's released an album at all? Because Jay, if we're honest, didn't need to release another album. It's not that we shouldn't be grateful. I don't think people are ungrateful for finding that annoying, but it's more like we can either be grateful for the fact that it exists, or we can lament the possibilities and hypotheticals. And the thing with hypotheticals is that they're endless. You can play the game of this could have been done, but what about this? It's, I'm glad that we have this album. I think that it's a good song. I think that was well done. And so as far as I'm concerned, it's 4 for 4. So we're going to continue with this track called Hearted and see how we go. I think the plucks there are gorgeous, dude. I think the combination of those plucked instruments, the funky basses, the sort of neo-funk, neo-soul kind of thing, with the drums kind of flat, kind of slamming away there, with the really pretty keys as an alternative to a bell tree. There's a lot. I think instrumentally, this one's really dope. Yeah, I'll give you that, Blue Dinner Box. I can kind of accept your point there. There is definitely an argument to be made that, with Greatest Works of Art, you would assume that every song is the greatest work of art, unless it's a parody of that concept, I can understand that. Unless it's about the greatest works of art as well, like outside of the album. Nice falsetto vibrato there.
闪多乐观，思念徒留纸上一整片被晕染。一句香港梦，你说落笔太难，何苦远走小巷，你却语多委婉。走过下在车辆等待芒草追光，而我又望轻轻叹。
I mean, it's a catchy hook line. There's some nice backing vocals. There's a lot of really different, interesting instruments in here that have been, that they've been shown to us on previous albums and previous tracks, but they do work really elegantly now. And I think one of the strengths of this album is the attempt to find fusions with really interesting textures that may not necessarily always go together traditionally. Really tight production, actually. I know that we're not always agreeing, but I love the sound of a lot of it. It's incredibly technically complex, actually instrumentally, from the various parts on either side of the stereo field. Okay, so we're repeating with overdubs. I mean, that's really pretty. Just the little sparkles and everything's going around the stereo field, the sides of the headphones. One thing I will note, to be fair to people who are maybe feeling as if this doesn't have as much life to it as previous records, I personally don't necessarily feel totally comfortable with how flat the dynamic range is at certain points. Like, it seems like everything is the same loudness, even when there are instruments that aren't there. It's like it's been made to be, it's pristinely mixed and mastered. It's not that it's mixed poorly or mastered poorly. It's more like it's too clean, so everything sounds really beautiful. It's like going into a store where there's a lot of beautiful items, and you can take them individually, but like at the same time, it's like, do these really beautiful instruments, like, would it, it's like it's boring because everything's perfect. Does that make sense? Like, not that I think the song is boring, but like when we listen to it, it's like it's less interesting to listen to because of how, yeah, safe. There we go, Jacob. It sounds safe. It's a very safe album in certain respects. I think Zhang Clark or someone like that, they mentioned that I might not necessarily like this album as much because of how safe it is. And I think that that's a reasonably safe assumption to make in most situations. However, I'm not here to critique and have a I'm not here to pick at it. It's simply that I think that some of the older albums, their production wasn't as clean, so there's a bit of grit to it, a bit of rough around the edges, and it just seemed a little bit more kind of interesting because of that. It's like I don't really necessarily remember a lot of music nowadays because it all kind of sounds the same because it's just normal sounding. Does that make sense? I don't think that's particularly objective. It's probably a subjective thing. But this is a kind of new Chinese style. Let me know about the new Chinese style. Is this like, what is the difference between the new Chinese style and the older Chinese style? I would be genuinely interested to know because I'm relatively naive about those sort of things. Cold-hearted. It also seems like we're trying to harken back to maybe previous songs and previous similar styles that Jay's done in other albums. But we're doing it from the perspective of like, it sounds like a major label trying to create something more traditional. And I don't know if it necessarily, it's very difficult. I'll think on it. I don't want to seem like I'm gatekeeping and stuff like that. And Lord knows that I don't want to sort of like say anything unless I can verify it. But I miss a word that's hard to write down. The lyricism in here is beautiful, though. I really appreciate the story that's being told about the mountains and the ink and everything like that. The reeds are blowing. It's very, very easy to imagine what's going on here. It's very, very satisfying to read. It sounds like you're reading a story, but it's someone singing. Yeah, so I've been reading through this, and I think that there's definitely cold-hearted. Are we trying to sort of roundabout way sort of say to the other person, why did you leave? Like, why are you not affected by the things around us? How do I kind of reach you? Is there a way for us to find a space together where we can kind of enjoy each other's company? Is that the kind of aim from this? You know, I don't know what the walked a few lines of ink and I burst into tears. I think maybe this is a story they're writing to this person and they're trying to sort of comment on the situation, but it's very difficult. Cold-hearted, how could you possibly do this if, you know, let me know in the comments. I think I'm lost, but I think, yeah, as I said before, just to conclude on this track, there are a lot of elements in here that I think fans of Jay Chou's more sort of previous works would like traditional Chinese music. Would like the Chinese opera, not Chinese opera because it wasn't that vocal style within it as I understand it, but Chinese similar works in previous albums. Maybe we're just harkening back to those, but with sort of more contemporary elements, like some really kind of funky bass stabs and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to move forward. I'm not really sure about that one. We'll continue with this sixth track, which is If You Don't Love Me, It's Fine. And I'm not surprised that Vincent Fang wrote the lyrics for Cold Hearted. I think that Vincent's wrote the other lyrics for the other tracks that are within similar veins. So yeah. Oh no. We're using this chord progression. Nice bluesy intonations with this bridge section though. What's up, Dorian Joe? Welcome to the live stream. Can we just comment on how cool the drums are though? I love the different 16th grooves. The fill going out of that chorus was absolutely phenomenal. The percussion is tops. It's sensational. I like the tone of the guitars. I can understand where Blue Dinner Box is coming from though. This seems... this is a divisive song. I can see some people really like this track and some people don't. And by the way, it's chill. You're allowed to like or dislike a track. You don't need my permission to tell you that. But objectively, I think if we were to remove the rest of Jay Chou's discography and put this in isolation, I think there's stuff to appreciate here. That is a very specific chord progression though. The melody is pleasant and safe for sure. What I like is we're coming back to that piano focus here though. We've still got the distorted guitars and the Christmas there, some interesting string parts there. And I'm looking forward to the lyrics, Blue Dinner Box, don't worry. But I'm just glad we have the key consistency with the keys across of it. That sounded dope. That's awesome. That was a wonderful solo. Great portamento on that lead synth. Really kind of echoing, kind of like... Oh, that's a car. It's a car. It's a car. It goes vroom vroom. The car goes vroom vroom. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Don't know why my brain just broke then. Oh, yeah, no, I know the piano solo was short. I think the reason that the piano solo was short is because they were aware that the track was just going a little bit over 4 minutes. I know that a lot of you guys probably used to longer tracks. A lot of musicians nowadays are under pressure to make shorter tracks simply because you just don't have the attention spans for especially new listeners that you used to. A lot of content on various websites is a minute long, 60 seconds. So unless you've really got something to pull people through, 4 minutes can be a bit tricky for a lot of producers and record labels. And so I get why they kept that piano solo short. It was short and sweet. They could have extended it further. I don't know if you would have gotten diminishing returns or not, but it's clear that, again, that was a wonderful setup there for that solo, and I'm glad that we had it. It's what I wanted from Jay in earlier albums, is just to explore the instruments he can play well more. There's no reason why I couldn't have had more solos. I'm unsure about that, but everything else here, it sounds like a a quote-unquote anthem. Sup, La Chao Sal? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. We're going to look at the lyrics now, though. And then I'm going to take a short break for a minute, and then I'll be right back. But yeah, if you don't love me, it's fine. Let's get ready for the potential cringe. I have been advised that there is cringe. We will see. The cold spell came just in time. Just in time. Yeah, exactly. Bohemian Rhapsody back. But that's the thing. The label that released Bohemian Rhapsody did not want to release it because they thought it was ridiculous. Just because labels think something is going to work doesn't mean it will or won't. And that's why a lot of musicians end up leaving the first labels that they sign with, because they just get restricted by bullshit. And they end up making their own indie labels. And that's why a lot of major labels actually try and give the bigger artists they work with their own subsidiary labels under their umbrella so that they don't get involved with it. They can continue to make money via contract without being directly related to it. And then if the major label artist, if it doesn't sell well, then it's not the major label's fault and they get dropped without any financial cost, or very little, or less than you would have otherwise. But yeah. I love Jay's longer tracks to an extent, as long as there's enough variety and diversity with it. It's just, yeah. We're going to continue, though. The cold spell came just in time for me to put your hands into a coat, put on a helmet properly. I won't let you fall down on the road of... Oh, no. The road of love. Accelerated into it wildly. You say you don't want to. You don't wish to take the risk of love. Don't wish to be held up by it. His embrace really is bitter. Man, he's happily married with kids. I just don't... I can understand why people don't relate with it. I think it's fine for him to talk about stuff like this if he wants to. I just think it's fair for people to not necessarily relate to it or to find it authentic. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Nobody Wants Me. The chest older brother has, I've strengthened, and if you want to lean on it, if you have the guts, then don't leave, come back here. Like usually when people write tracks, and if it's a genuine, authentic sort of experience they've had, they will actually aim it at someone in their life. And if we are to say that it's authentic, you would assume that at this point in Jay's life, he's actually having that experience with someone, which is even sadder than the alternative where he is not feeling this way. The only logical alternative, at least to me personally, is that we're writing songs like this because we think it's going to appeal to an audience. And if that's the case, then no wonder people aren't necessarily relating to it or believing it. But that is not to say that it's wrong. It's okay if you like the track. It's okay if you relate to it. It's nonetheless very effective songwriting. It makes sense for a label to be making tracks like this, especially single tracks. And I am not of the illusion that this was not a thing that we haven't been doing for the last 14 albums. I know that Jay's put a lot of songs like this about relationships and stuff like that, and various breakups and getting back together and stuff like that. He's done this ever since he started. And it's just simply part of it because of success. The song was written as a challenge. He just loved the chorus sentence. I see. Well, let's just say that this track, I think the composition, like the kind of, it's like pop rock, isn't it? It's not like super heavy or menacing. There's no real malice to it. There's the occasional bits of bluesy kind of tangential stuff happening in the bridge. And there's like an unexpected, hang on a minute. I'm just going to just reply to this. Thank you, La Chao Sal. I appreciate the donation. No worries for being late. It's totally fine. This is part of the joy of YouTube, where the live stream will be available afterwards. We've made good time with this live stream so far. There's been very little filler. There have been no technical difficulties as of yet. There might be the camera battery thing at some point, but we'll sort that out when we get to it. I'm probably going to actually change the battery in a moment just so we don't have to have that later on. But thank you to all of you for coming along to this live stream, the final Jay Chou album. Well, hopefully not the final one, but it's the 15th anyways. Just my brief comments on my song before I take a minute break. Basically, this pop rock track has a nice combination of various guitar, bass, and drum parts that is very satisfying to listen to. The keys as well that you have there are phenomenal. The piano solo was absolutely the highlight of the track. I completely agree to that. I think that Jay sang it well. The backing vocals were fine. It seemed a little bit formulaic in its composition and its approach and its performance, but nonetheless very satisfying to listen to. And I understand why it has gotten the attention it has. I'll be in a minute. I'll be back in a minute, guys. Just gonna do something real quick. Be right back. Oh hang on. It's gonna be okay. Why don't I remember how to do this? Okay. Alright. Just changing the camera batteries over. Now. Should be good to go in a minute. Can you see me? Hopefully you can. I hope that I'm visible. If I'm not, then I've made a terrible mistake. LaChao Sales says, I have really mixed feelings about this album. And that's fair. That's absolutely fair. It's okay not to know. I think that that's the beauty of life, is that we have ample time and resources in most situations that aren't life or death to be able to figure that out. But in the meantime, we have this track here, Mojito. So let's go, let's do it. I think we all know Mojito, don't we? I mean, if you don't, I've reviewed Mojito, to be fair, I think. Great traditional elements. Yep. Sensational transition into the bridge. Or is this the chorus? I mean, like, it's fantastic with the hand drums, the guitars, the brass is wonderful as well. The recording quality of the individual instruments, notwithstanding the how balanced things are, or how dynamically flat things are at times in previous tracks is exceptional. It's definitely commercial grade. And a solo section, it's awesome. Yeah, the trumpet is pretty dope, to be fair.
冰冷的拉在感到中的摇曳，在这海风是否漫无目的？古董说他们在时光相近，我想上辈子是不是就遇过你？喧嚣的海报躺在慵懒的阁楼阳台，而你是我脚下笔下的那一片海。麻烦给我的爱人来一杯Mojito。
Excellent.
我习惯阅读他微醺时的眼眸，而我的咖啡糖不用太多。世界已经因为他甜得过头，这爱不落幕，忘了心事的国度，你所在之处，孤单都被征服。编织的招牌坐落在脚下，一封封城市献给天空的情书。当街的亮起，哈拉来漫步，这是世上最美丽的那双人舞。
I mean, like, if we look at this track objectively, the rap flow, the clean vocals from Jay, all around are great. There's no weak points to this. There's a nice amount of variety to keep us intrigued. The track is nice and intricate. It's 3 minutes. It's a perfect length for a song like this. Really well good for a single. There are instrumental solo sections between various guitarists, the brass handing off to the flamenco, like classical guitars. And lots of different interesting percussive rhythms and stuff like that between the shakers and the hand drums and the kit. I mean, it's a really, really good song. I mean, it's just really satisfying. It sounds very kind of believable. Like, it works well within the genre that it came from, with those like, what is that style of music? I want to say, like, I feel like calling it Spanish is so basic. I want to say flamenco, but there's also other dance rhythms associated with instruments like that. Anyways, like, we've got the lyrics, Mojito. I've looked through these before, but it's always good to read it again. Ah, because the world is oversweet for her. Yeah, it's awesome. We're describing the place that Jay Chou is singing or rapping in. It's very visual. Like, it's easy to create an image in your head of what it's meant to be like. It's effervescent, full of life. I think the lyricism in this is incredible. It's really top tier. Wonderful. I'm not sure if Mojito has a chorus. Fair cool. I mean, like, usually the hook line would be the chorus, but maybe not a dedicated section. Some tracks don't have that, but it works. So I think this is maybe not only Jay Chou talking about a person that he's maybe met in this place. The passion that they have for each other is also kind of describing the clave. Yeah, it could be. I feel really naive. I'm gonna just go do a separate Google clave. Yeah, it is. Well done. Well done. So I learned something here, which is good. Yeah, that's cool, man. It is a clave. Dun 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 dun. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, no, definitely. I think it is a clave. Well done. Thank you, Joy and Joy. I appreciate that. I need to go learn more about that. I might do that, and because I'm off of work for 2 weeks. I don't have tuition work for 2 weeks, so I've got plenty of time to study that. So it'll be great. But yeah, I think we understand what the track is about. It's about the romantic sort of association he has with a woman, whilst he's also in this place, Havana in Mexico, and talking about the good times and things associated with that, and the passion that he has for it. Ultimately, Mojito's sales skyrocketed at the time because of the song. Sick. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It does. It's inadvertent advertising, but mojitos are good. So if you haven't had a mojito, I would definitely recommend you try one. Absolutely. You know, unless you're underage, in which case I'm definitely not telling you to do that. But anyways, that was Mojito. It's a banger. It's a certified banger. I think that there's nothing that you can really complain about with that, apart from the fact that it's included in this album. But I think, to be fair, that it needed to have a place in an album. Jay doesn't usually just let singles be singles, so that's cool. Anyways, track number 8. What do we have next? Oh, hang on. I loved the song when it was released, but I was burnt out after listening to it over and over again as a single. That's a problem with adding the previously released singles to the album. That's fair. That is actually a fair comment. I will accept that with open arms, because like Lord knows it can be a real drag when you're like, oh, not that one again, right? I get it. We've got track 8, The Missed Fireworks, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, this doesn't sound...
明信片的邮戳，就能纪念过往的生活。那些药像烈火，在地平线更放了撒着执着。懦弱，其实都是一部分的我，而你却说我不够洒脱，或许该放手。一路上我看着风更远了沙丘，偏僻的山路我走，望着峡谷的天空，还有什么？还有什么？风景太美些，还没写成小说。风雨向我过，却没有带走寂寞。这条路没有尽头，我还是会继续走。许下的承诺，或许在多年以后。
Yeah, this is one of the more generic chord progressions we've had so far. Yeah, I don't know how I personally feel about this one. I don't know how I personally feel this one. I think, for one, you know, the production as well, the song is inherently interesting if you isolate it from some of the other work on the album, like similar track we have with the distorted guitars, but it's almost like, and he's certainly straining to sing it. Why do you think? This is a genuine question, y'all in the chat. Why do you think he made this song?在地平线远方的沙子，执着懦弱，其实都是一部分的我，而你却说我不够洒脱，或许该放手。一路上我开着车，迎风更远了沙丘，偏僻的山路我走，望着峡谷的天空，还有什么？还有什么？风景太美些，还没写成小说。风
风雨笑过，却没有带走寂寞。这条路没有尽头，我还是会继续走。许下的承诺，或许在多年以后，我还在漂泊，淋湿错过的烟火。等风沙过后，才知道失去什么。世界的辽阔，将你的消息淹没。风化的沙漠，只剩下回忆经过，属于谁的自由。
I mean, this is dope. The synth solo is kind of fun. It sucks because he's had such awesome solo parts. I mean, like, just don't get me wrong. Did he have these kind of solo sections in previous albums? Because he had one in almost every single song. It's like, is it that do you reckon it's that he thought that, like, his vocals alone wouldn't be enough to sell the track, so he needed to have this much extra stuff? Was it that in earlier albums, Jay thought that his vocals were enough to be able to get everyone interested, and so there was less variety with the instrumental parts? But now in this one, he's maybe not as sure that his vocals will be enough, so he's got these solo sections. I know that was a really long way of saying that, but I'm wondering, you know. Okay, an interesting adjustment there of the percussion tones. All right, if we're gonna read through the lyrics first. Thank you for your feedback. I think we've got super generic, and he's certainly straining to sing it from Jacob. The fact is, the song's intro riff was the album teaser that was released. Oh, okay. Ban Ching Yang says, too simple and safe. Blue Dinner Box says, I feel he tried to make an upbeat song but sounds bland as hell. La Chow Cell says, track 8 is one of my favorite, just a feel good vibe. To be fair, it is pretty feel good. I will give you that. It's definitely not a Debbie Downer, that's for sure. I can understand why people appreciate it. Joy and Joe says, I know what you mean by saying it's too simple and safe. Yeah, very cool. I think the song lacked the vocal oomph. Yeah. So, and in previous songs that Jay's released, he has done double tracking of his vocals and choruses. And I think this is a song which would have really benefited from Jay double tracking his vocals, making them a bit bigger, just for that extra oomph that you're talking about, Jacob. That's my that's my pull on it, I think. I know Elsie says, I know most people don't buy albums nowadays, but it's outrageous to charge fan a full album's price when half the albums are singles that were probably bought by diehard fans beforehand. Yeah, that's definitely a take. It's definitely a take. Let's talk about that real quick, because I've got feelings about that too. I think I can understand what you're saying there. I can't imagine that it would have been particularly cheap to have made all the videos and gotten this album made. Granted, Jay Chou at this point in his career is probably quite wealthy, and I would dare say his label is doing quite well, considering he's doing things like buying League of Legends teams and stuff like that. That's not cheap. And he's got the money, and he's got the skills to be able to do it. He probably could have avoided charging full price for the album if he wanted to. I think that maybe it's just simply that he thought that was just what he should, because a lot of labels are still, especially the bigger labels that have had artists from like 20 years ago, they do are still in that mindset where like because they're big enough and they have scale, sure they do all the new age social media streaming stuff, but they also are like, we got enough diehard fans, they'll pay. And the problem, it's like with video game services and stuff like that, right? A lot like video games are an absolute mess in certain respects with like DLC and pre-sales and expansion packs and season passes and stuff like that. Don't get me started on that, but I think they only charge full price because they can get away with it. Do you know what I mean? I think that if people were just simply not to have bought Jay's album at full price, I think that would have had a catastrophic effect on their choices moving forward. But there's just a lot of people who did, and that kind of incentivizes it, unfortunately. So a lot of people will argue, yeah, but we're supporting the musician, and up until the early 2000s, or even into the late 2010s, when musicians could just go fully independent with the ability to go through like DistroKid, for example, and release an album on Spotify and all the digital streaming platforms, it hasn't been just to support the artist, it's been a label as well. But anyways, Cho just says, it just feels good listening to the song while going for a walk on a sunny day. I know it's more generic, but I can't really explain why I like it. It's okay just to like it, LaChosel. It's okay just to like it. I speak for myself and I say, I'm not judging you for liking it. I think it's great. There are people that just cannot stand Pharrell's Happy, but I kind of dig it. And I know it's the cheesiest stuff ever, but like, I know why it makes me happy. I think it's well produced. And, while I may not necessarily agree with all the stuff that Pharrell does, I think that that's a banger. Music is subjective. You can only review so much before it becomes kind of redundant or kind of asinine, and I try and find that balance every time I talk about something. Ban Ching Ying says the concert performance of the song is quite good, better than single track. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. There are situations where like the live performance has just got more personality and flair to it. And yeah, it's just market dynamics. It's supply and demand. If people bought less of something at full price, they wouldn't be able to sell it for that. They might have a tantrum and be like, well, we won't make music anymore. Well, then that's just it. They should have, arguably as a final comment, if musicians want people to pay full price for stuff, they've got to create stuff that is universally going to appeal at that price range. They have to accept pushback if they are creating something which a certain percentage of their fan base will not be okay with. It's just how it works. Okay, the mailing of the stamps is treated like a memory to the past. The sunsets are like there's wildfire still burning at the edge of the world. You You're the fireworks I've missed. Yeah, I mean, like, okay. Yeah, okay. So is like Fireworks, this song Fireworks, right? Is it about Jay Chou talking about how this person or whoever they're speaking about in their life is someone who is their spark, their flame, their ignition, their raison d'etre, you know? You said that I'm not open enough and maybe I should let go. So they couldn't allow the fireworks to live their truth, and now they're walking through a blank desert looking for inspiration, knowing they'll never get those fireworks again. I think that that's an interesting way of looking at it. And to be fair to Jay Chou, the song did kind of sound like fireworks. It did kind of sound like fireworks for sure. It was cool. It was cool. There was a lot of sparkle with the different synth parts, especially in the interlude there. The guitar sounded nice and bright. The bass and drums propelled us forward. And even if I wasn't necessarily completely satisfied with Jay Chou's vocal performance in this one, I still think he did okay, you know. And just before I continue to track number 9, Droyan Joe says, it's more like a collection of songs the musician wrote in the past period of time, not technically an album defined in the old days, contains songs making connections. Yeah, and that's been the deal with Jay Chou's stuff ever since I started reviewing him. It's been that kind of aesthetic, you know. The idea of like it not being a typical like a theme and that it's like a collection of songs. I absolutely get it. I'm not unfamiliar with the concept because it's just, yeah, it's cool. But anyways, it's worked for Jay Chou, so it makes sense that he's continued it, and I think that in this instance it's been a bit more palatable and more. It's been less of a variety show, I think, this time than we've had previously. But moving forward, we've got this track from Jay Chou and Gary Yang titled Waiting for You, if I'm not mistaken, track number 9.
你住的巷子里，我租了一间公寓，为了想与你不期而遇。高中3年，我为什么不好好读书？没考上跟你一样的大学，我找了份工作。离你宿舍很近，当我开始学会做蛋饼，才发现你不知道。
It sounds very intimate with the rustling, you know? Beltry. 教室里的灯还亮着，你没走。记得我写给你的情书，都什么年代了，到现在我还在写着。总有一 Sick feel as well, man. Lots of variety instrumental-wise.
有人默默地陪在你的身边，也许我不该在你的世界。当你收到情书，也代表我已经走远。
Is it less like a peeper? Or is it... It's a peeper, isn't it? Plucked like a harp. Peeper? Alongside the classical guitar or the steel strings. So like so far the vocal performance has been phenomenal. I think Jay started, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe this is Gary coming in now. I assume they'll come together later on. The combination of various keyboards, the bass drums, it's a very peaceful sort of motif. And I think the brushes at the start, you know, it's got kind of undercoating everything, was the icing on the cake. Have they already been harmonizing earlier on, or they just come together now? I mean, the melodic motif there with the leads. Makes sense. I think having the pipa or the guzheng as a lead here was a fun concept. It makes it seem a bit more traditional and old school. I like that we're using a different timbre or texture there. It's nice. And there's a lot to appreciate with this track. You know, Jacob says, I can't tell if it's pipa or guzheng. I'm leaning towards pipa. Oh, plucked like a tiny double bass. I want a double bass, man. I want an actual double bass. Oh, shamisen. It is a shamisen. Of course it's a shamisen. It does sound like a shamisen, doesn't it? Shiro, thank you, Shiro, for putting that forward. It's a shamisen, isn't it? That's awesome. It does sound like one. They have one in Baby Metal. Megitsune, that sounds like that. I want a shamisen as well. They're beautiful instruments. I think that it's important to note, Jacob, even if like the song isn't adored by people, at least like technically in regards to its competition, its composition, the performance, the production, this song is well done. The vocal performance, there's a nice chemistry between Gary Yang and Jay Chou. Their voices interlock nicely together. There's very little, if nothing, to really be musically offended by. It's almost like it's just very subjective at this point. As I've mentioned several times before, it gets to the point where you're comparing apples to oranges. They're the best apples and oranges, but you're comparing them. To an extent, I suppose, when like, you know, there's opinions about like the uniqueness or like how invested we are in the apple or the orange, but those are things that we can sort of more talk about, I suppose, in the conclusion. We got the lyrics anyways for this track. Waiting for you. I thought Gary Yang's vocals were a pleasant surprise and they really suited the arrangement really well. I rented an apartment in your alley. Aww. Great arrangement, but it's just too soft and cutesy for my taste. I need to feel alive when I'm listening to music. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Sup, Anthony Ho? Welcome to the live stream. Everyone say hi to Anthony. Good times. Hopefully you have a good time watching the live stream. It's fairly low key. I just listen to music and talk about it. That's kind of the premise. The premise for a while now, ever since I started, I suppose. So is this song about like going to school, waiting to get the person to come out of the college? Oh. What did you hear from your headphones? Oh. Oh man. Oh, so this is the idea of the concept of this is the lyrics is about a man recalled his appreciation of a girl he liked during school time. It's very lovely and sad. Yeah, it is pretty wholesome, isn't it? It is pretty wholesome. I'll give you that, Droyan, for sure. Oh no, it does seem like that. It does sound like we're talking about someone who just, the love letter never arrived. The square beside the school, I'm waiting for the bells to ring. Let's wait until you finish and go together, okay? Yeah, no, I think you've absolutely nailed it on the head. Yeah. Sick. It's a really great. I like the story that's being told here. It's very cute. As Droyan said, it is a little bit sad, but it's just what it is. I think that if we're gonna continue to talk about these memories of being a school kid and like how we wish we had managed to get this person, looking back at the time that's passed and nostalgia from that, but also that maybe the unhappy memories, I would rather that we try to approach it from other interesting angles like this. Ultimately, I think that with the use of traditional instruments, that does kind of bring forth the idea, the concept of it being like something going back in time, looking back at it. I think the idea of the greatest works of art being about time travel makes sense because he's going back in time to do it. I also read before that Fan Qing Yang says every album has ballad, rap, Chinese style, soft rock, R&B. If that is legitimately the concept, like if he's provably stated that he is trying to do things in each different genre at every album, that makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot of sense. Not that he needs my validation to be able to do that, but you know what I mean? It just makes a lot of sense if that is the case. But thank you. Welcome, Anthony. How you doing? But we've got track number 10. Track number 10 here. Pink Ocean. Pink Ocean, what is this one?
嗨，小妞，要上我车吗？
Oh, it's cute.
我很帅哦。准备好了吗？要吃豆腐吗？
I mean, this is absolutely cutesy. I think this is further reinforcing the idea of a lot of different genres per thing, right? Really cute little kid at the start, though, eh?
水面上蔚蓝色的船坞和长长的木板路，像风景长度细节描述旅行中的幸福。而你的微笑是我欣赏世界的角度，我专注的期待此刻甜甜的感觉永不落幕。哦，这大上的公路，那不小的袋鼠，我们一起刻苦这次爱的旅途。那告别的话说不清楚，开着乐去漫步，你笑我这个旧的脸红彤彤，像后着光着屁股。
Dreamy guitar slides. I mean, this is perky and upbeat. I think the use of the banjo gives it a bit of life. I would say it's going to be, I would say that it's probably a banjo. Ukulele is a little bit softer with the way you pick it. I'd say there's a guitar on one side and a banjo on the other. But let me know if I'm incorrect. What's a 和长长的木板路，像风景长度细节描述旅行中的幸福。而你的微笑是我欣赏世界的角度，我专注的期待此刻甜甜的感觉永不落幕。Oh, that was fun. Calypso drums. And absolutely, Anthony, interesting song. And I like it when we have these filtered parts where the low end is just cut out and things just float. That is a favorite thing of mine. It allows for a moment of respite, especially at the 2-minute mark of a track, even if the track is well within that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot. It's just breathing room. It's just wiggle room, right? Great Foley with the seagulls. It was nice as well. We had the Foley of the car on the right side. It was almost cinematic with the attention to detail there with the different samples. Really great, really positive. Pink Ocean was made for TikTok. I often use this song for making cute short videos of my cat. That's adorable. What's your cat's name? My cat's name is Nushka. She's a cute little girl. What is this? I don't know what this is. I don't know which one is yes and which one is no. Which one is Which one is yes and which one is no? Guys, help. I don't know which one is yes and what's no. Oh, it is. There we go. Did it. Oh, it went away. I went there. There you go. The slide guitar. Oh, you think it's a banjo and a ukulele? Oh, wild. Maybe you guys are right. Fine one. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so what do we got? Some of this stuff's hard, man. Let's go for a ride. That blue boathouse and long boardwalk. Like a, no, that's kind of difficult. Thanks for the help, by the way, guys, with the button. I appreciate it. Buttons are hard, man. Oh, I see you. I see. Appreciate the world from the perspective of your smile. So is he talking about his kid at that point in time, that he appreciates the smile of the kid? Sweet moments were in front of my memory. The highway of this island, no smiling. Kawaka, let's cherish our love in this journey. Too shy to confess. Oh, you said I'm blushing like a monkey's bear bum. That's kind of, that's fun. Oh. So is this dedicated to his kid? Is that it? Like about being a father and everything like that? Like a landscape illustration outlining our happiness in this journey. I appreciate the world from the perspective of your smile. Okay, there's a lot of the same lyrics here. It's a lot of repetition here. Okay, so is this meant to kind of be about being on like a tropical island and something like that, and like appreciating the fact that you're with your kid with that, like you're enjoying the spotlight and this and the sweet stuff? I mean, because I think that the use of the banjo and the ukuleles with the guitars, the slide guitars, wow, it does kind of sound like you're at the beach. Oh, he made it generic enough to be about his kid and anyone else who wants to meet it. Oh no, that's just clever though. I can't really fault that hustle, man. Get that bag. It's good on him. Good on him. I think that my cat's name is Ellie. Nushka is adorable. Well, say hi to Ellie from me. And Nushka is absolutely adorable. I'm not sure if I spelled it correctly. Yeah, I will be doing Amazing Show soon. That is something I want to revisit. We're gonna redo Amazing Show. Yeah. You did spell Nushka correctly, by the way. You did very well. Very, very well. Anything else? I think that the vocal performance within this track is pleasant to listen to. There's a nice amount of variety with the different drum grooves and percussion, etc. The motif that's played on the strings is pleasant and amicable and suits the story and the tone of the lyrics very, very well. It does sound tropical and really upbeat and friendly and vibrant. The production continues forward with that, and yeah, really satisfying all in all. Happy. It does sound like a happy track, and I think that's exactly the point of it. So in that instance, they succeeded. Finally, well, not finally. We have 3 more tracks today. No, 2 more tracks. Really? 2 more tracks. So we just blasted through this album. So what's the next track? What's the second to last track? Reflection. And this movie was filmed in Australia. His son is also in it. Well, good on Jay Chou for getting his son into the business. You know, as long as his son has a good time, that's what matters, right? Imagine being the kid of Jay Chou, man. Basically set for life, right? But we got Reflection, number 11. Oh. Okay. Okay. I mean, like, it's a traditional Jay Chou intro with the strings, the movement of the half tones there, the quarter note accents, arpeggios.
有花颜料散落在阁楼桌上，与你有关的一切话都画不完，房间变安静的想起一个地方，我总眼不逃灯洒把过墙。
Ooh, triplets.
像木桶一亮起过往，回忆年少有一种定格的美感，想起了离开有几年前的远方，这自己的老墙夜色斑驳着迷惘，当初的感觉已在石板路上走散，推开的百叶窗，你经历的背景游戏。
There's a bro sound that's just really fun happening in the background. I really appreciate that as a call and response.
你的当是我带不走的风景，就像居无定所的云还在旅行。这城墙外的世界，谁被放出了眼泪？我想再也没有谁，再也没有谁能了解。你的倒影是我带不走的风景，故事只剩我一个人相信。仰望天空之城，想起越走越远的我们。
I mean, like, it's nice just to have breaks here. It's good to, if we have a similar, well, we don't have the similar chord progression bassline the entire way through. We do adjust it as we move along. Which, yeah, no, I'm going to retract what I was going to say there. Never mind. Percussion's been an absolute highlight this album, though, for sure.
几年前的远方，这自己的老墙夜色斑驳着迷惘，当初的感觉已在石板路上走散，推开的百叶窗，你经历的背景游戏，温暖有你的光。你的当是我带不走的风景，
Satisfying.
就像居无定所的云还在旅行。
See, that's the double tracking I was talking about. There's double tracking of vocals here, and it gives it more warmth. More oomph, should I say. And another solo section. We are seriously not sleeping on it. Because they're not real drums. They're sampled drums. They're electric drums. Yeah, I would agree with that. Just before we continue to track number 12. Reflection is very copy and paste formula, but I'm cool with it. I would agree with that. I think that it was almost absolutely necessary to have that string solo in that just before the third part. Because it was split in thirds. No volatility. Yeah, exactly. No, I'd agree. So I think both of you are in the same ballpark, like Chao Sal and Fan Ching Yang. It's just another song that has a pleasant vibe. Yeah, absolutely. A bit less kind of pizzazz than the previous track, but it's enough to kind of like float there and just enjoy. The rhythm and melody of the song is excellent, but it feels too flat, no volatility. Yeah, because it's like there's a lot of smoothness to it from like the strings and everything like that. That there's less kind of sharper percussive layers that would give it a bit of edge. Sometimes I forget that I'm live streaming and I think I'm in like a review where I can just cut and edit the video to make it shorter, but I actually have to fill the pauses with something. Sup, Joy McVeigh? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're doing well. We're on to the last. It's crazy to think. Crazy to think that I'll be reviewing the last Jay Chou song in the last Jay Chou album. Considering we've done 14 of these albums now, for this to be the last track is kind of wild, you know. Reflection. Okay, let's check these lyrics out. Let's get these bad boys sorted. Where are they? There are English translations. How do I feel about Jay Chou covers? Jay Chou covers, I mean, it just depends on what they do. You know, I think that it's good to be able to, you know, play a track while also making it your own. I think that's the secret to it, is finding a way to play it in a way that is respectful to the original and then giving your own spin. How about you? How do you feel about Jay Chou covers? Reflections. And I feel like Jay is in his Ode to Joy phase. Yeah, I would say that. I think that's a reasonably safe assessment. He's going for those kind of classics there. He's just priming himself up. I think he's very comfortable. What should you look like in the frame? Oil patterns scattered on the egg table. Okay. Alright, I think I get it. So this is looking back on someone, kind of like the previous track where it was like about the school stuff. Is that it? Or is it? The story kind of reminds me of Waiting for You a little bit. Reflection is sick, take away. In this world outside of city walls, who has been banished to tears, I think no one can understand. Your reflection is the scenery. The old stone wall was modelled in beige. The original feelings are scattered in a stone road. It's very imaginative. It's very imaginative, for sure. I like the description there, how clear and vivid things are. Was this Vincent? It is Vincent, of course. He does that. He likes talking about the walls and the paint and the environment. He tells you what the room is like, and it's very easy to imagine it, you know. Very vivid. I wonder how Vincent is doing nowadays. You know, I don't really hear anyone talk about how Vincent is doing. I hope he's doing well, considering he's probably spent a lot of his life working with musicians like Jay Chou. No one can understand your reflection is a scenery I can't take away. There's only one story left. I believe alone, looking up in the city in the sky, remembering us who have gone farther and farther. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. I'm not really sure about this one. But what is this one about? What do you guys think this track is about? I want to say it's about thinking about someone who you have feelings with, but if it's not about the school time, if it's about 20s and 30s, then is it simply about living your life as an adult and having people kind of come and go and realizing that, you know, you just have to continue waking up in the morning and doing your thing even when that person isn't there. And that's that hole in the sky or that reflection that you can't get past until like a while afterwards because you need time to heal from that. That's my kind of take on it and lyrically. I think that it was a safe composition that relied on its string elements quite intently. It had a lot of the kind of basses and drums and guitars and stuff like that we appreciate and kind of can relate to and predict from Jay. It wasn't necessarily the most unique sounding track in the album, but it was nonetheless, again, as we've talked about, pleasant to listen to, had a great vibe. And I think that it's not a weak track by any means. Joy McVeigh just says, my favorite Artist is Hua Xinyu. He's done a couple of excellent covers of Jay Chou. That's good. I think I reviewed one of. I think I've reviewed Hua Xinyu before, if I'm not mistaken. Just I don't really like talking about this in the live streams because I feel like I'm kind of being. Fuck. If you want fan requests done, you can go down to the Patreon down there and get monthly custom music reviews. You can go down there and get monthly custom music reviews of tracks that you like. You know what I mean? Like if you want, so like for original music, if it's your single, EP, or album, you can go to the Fiverr page. But if it's like songs you like from musicians and you want me to review them, like for certain, you just go to the Patreon and you can it's like $12 a month or something like that. But yeah, it does not have the cuteness. I agree, it doesn't have the cuteness for sure. I can relate to that. I think it's a little bit less kind of like a bit more somber. And the last track sounds like a movie score. It's one of the singles, but I still like it. Cool. Oh, thank you, Joy. That's awesome. Again, you don't have to go through the Patreon to like for me to review music. Like like I'm still gonna do album reviews and live streams and stuff like that. But just if you specifically want a song that you like reviewed, it's probably the best place to go is through the Patreon. But anyways, we're gonna continue here. This is the last track for today. I truly believe. Yeah, more mature, absolutely. So we're going to listen through this last track from start till finish, hear what we think. Let's go. Sorry, I know this has been a bit of a longer review, guys. That was wonderful.
斟酌天空很灰心，蝴蝶不再被吸引，玫瑰盛开得很安静，远方的风雨不停，人世苍白而孤寂，徘徊无助的人群，焦虑着何时放弃。
Phenomenal amount of compositional range so far.
谁也摧毁不了我们的梦境，血液般的柔情划过了天际，我许下的愿望该向谁去说明？陨石在浩瀚的宇宙间旅行，璀璨的夜空里满天的水晶，我的祷告终于有了回应。
It's a ballsy move having a track this big at the end. I love the symphonic score. I feel like this could have worked well as an opening track. I think Jay's done similar stuff with previous stuff. It is for a movie. Makes sense now. But we'll go back a little bit so you guys can enjoy the build, okay? It does make sense that it's for a movie. Oh, great chord to finish on, dude. It was unexpected, but it hit like a train and it was dope. I love it when he throws unpredictable chords in there. Great sense of tension. The bzzz sounds are fun. They're very like, oh, dramatic. Like, oh, what's this? Why is there buzzing, you know? And the bells. Yeah, he's in his head voice there. It's not super comfortable. I like the vocals on the sides though, they're very atmospheric. And really soothing on the eardrums. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think it's really well produced. I almost feel as if this was a song where oh hang on. No. Back. I almost feel as if this was a track where the composition itself was bigger than the vocals. Jay's voice was great in there, and I think that it's a really fantastic song, and also the fact that he wrote it to help his wife and everything like that is a very noble cause for sure. I also simultaneously feel as if the track it kind of swallowed Jay a little bit. There was so much incredible stuff with the symphonic elements like the strings and all those other orchestral elements there, combined with the keys and the bass and the drums and other sort of elements there, and the little kind of fizzy parts there. Yeah, I think compositionally, instrumentally, it was fantastic. But yeah, I can appreciate why people enjoyed this track for sure. It's just I think that, as Jacob said, if it was old vocals, he would have added a lot of high soaring notes. I think that's how Jay could have grabbed it back as like the dominant force, is to kind of have those higher notes and do a little bit of the kind of like crazy stuff, but he was playing a more safe composition, like performatively, and I think that's just clearly people enjoyed it because there's a lot of love on it. Like 18 million plays is pretty dope. But lyric wise, what do we have? We have where is it? Oh, it's very small. Oh, there we go. The birds leave the forest and the sky is grey. The butterflies are no longer attracted to the roses. They bloom very quietly. Oh, this is about meteors, isn't it? Anything that can ruin the story is the scenery. No one can destroy our dreams. Across the sky. Yeah, this is very on the nose, isn't it? It is about a meteor. Meteorites travel across vast expanses of space. The crystal in the sky. Yeah, this is very, very... Wait, I'm so convinced that you're behind me. I've been walking side by side looking up at the sun. Is this saying that, like, eventually things worked out and that the meteor didn't actually go and, like, game into everyone after all? Is that it? You're the one who's been there for me. Hands down, the dawn of love, so beautiful. The birds leave the forest and the sky is grey. Okay, so we're going back to that hook there. We're in a story as a scenery. I mean, a meteor across the sky, by the way, it does sound fascinating. The song makes the movie sound fascinating. And it's very wholesome with the wishes and everything like that. I think you're the one who's been there for me. Hands play out the dawn of love so beautiful. Yeah, this is a lot of similar lines. Here's hands play out the dawn of love so beautiful. Excellent. Excellent. No, that definitely is a film about meteors, a disaster film, which apparently La Chou says, I heard the movie was bad. Oh, disaster film and more is one brutal. Well, yeah, at least we did get a good song out of it. I think it was well written and well performed. I think Jay sang it for a purpose outside of his career, and it's great that he's sharing that around, you know? He just wanted to make a song for his wife's movie, and that's dope. Good on him. Fun fact, Jay is actually a competent film director himself, with his first movie, The Secret, being a cult classic and a very mind-bending film that challenged expectations. The dude is multi-talented. What can we say? I'm unsurprised, really, considering the output that he's had. And he loves his music videos as well and his songs. You know what I mean? He made music videos for every track off of his first few albums or something like that. But yeah, this album in general, because we're gonna do a conclusion. The Secret. We'd have to watch it on Discord or something like that, because I couldn't watch it on YouTube. But the intro to this album was a tribute to his movie Secret. Damn. I didn't know that. But welcome to the conclusion of my review of this album, The Greatest Works of Art from Jay Chou. It's a really good album. It isn't necessarily my favorite of Jay Chou's works. I wouldn't necessarily consider it an improvement on his old material, but I think that it's an album that comes from a musician who is in a very safe place in his career, and I don't think we needed more from that. There are tracks in this album, as you all have mentioned, that have been from previous works, previous outputs he's had. I remember someone saying that like half of the tracks were pre-releases, and I think that to be fair, it's okay for a musician to want to put their previous singles into an album to kind of make them sort of go together as like a period of era. Calling the album The Greatest Works of Art is a incredibly bold claim, but I assume it's because he's been inspired by great works of art, that these songs are based off of that. Either way, he's allowed to call it what he likes, I suppose, and that's what matters, you know? But I think this is a mixture of Jay looking into his various creative inspirations, creative works of art, like the classical composers and Salvador Dali, relationships, you know, both maybe with his partner and stuff like that, like going to with the mojito stuff, talking about like the atmosphere and alcohol, talking about love lost and gone, breakups, missing people in their life. Meteors, like the last song that we had. There's a lot of topics in here. I think that we've had comments today which have reinforced the fact that in every single one of these 15 albums, we've had variety shows. It's not changed. I don't think we've had, I mean, Bedtime Stories, to be fair, is the closest thing I think we've had. I suppose fantasy as well. Actually, there have been some concept albums that, by virtue of the topic that they're about, are stylistically cohesive. But you don't get the same type of music throughout this album or any of his albums, and I kind of have to respect that consistency, you know, that creative consistency. To be fair, it's incredibly difficult to have this many different ideas kind of work together well. Part of it is the quality of the commercial, the production, the stereo production. But let's just take a moment. Jay Chou's vocals, the rapping was solid, the clean vocals were good. I think we've shown good vocal technique in Hidden Shit's voice. We're struggling with a few of the high-end sort of like head voice parts. The falsetto came through really sweetly. I think it really does literally depend on when the tracks were released with some of the older pre-releases there. But I think that both Jay, when he's alone, as well as working with musicians like Gary Yang and Ashin Chen, the collaborations were productive. Jay's vocals, for the most part, were palatable. There were tracks where Jay's vocals might have needed a bit more oomph just to kind of stand out in the mix, such as track number 12, and I think another one where like we had singles for the whole entire time. We could have double tracked it to give a bit more kind of like size. But aside from that, usually Jay's vocals sounded great. We're very confident with our music theory and composition. Our fundamentals are covered, so we understand how to create vocal melodies and hook lines, etc. Rap in a way that's rhythmically pleasing. The transitions are excellent. The harmonies that they have with it are very satisfying. Ultimately, the vocals are good. vocals are good. I am hoping. I see here that Chou Sal says, wasn't the most exciting album, but I'm cool with it. I have faith. Well, actually, we'll do the comments in the end so that we can read them and address them ourselves. Okay. I just want to get through the conclusion first, and then we'll go chat, because otherwise we're going backwards and forwards. And I want this to be semi. I want this to be easy to follow for people who are watching after the live stream. So the vocals were done well. The tracks in general were between like zero, about 3 to 5 minutes. I think that's a really beautiful length for them. We had lots of solo sections in these tracks, in addition to verses, bridges, and choruses. Mojito being sort of more like A-B structure with instrumental breaks. And I think what was really good about this is that in previous works we've simply kind of copied and pasted choruses and had outros and done key changes and stuff like that. What I enjoyed about this album is that we didn't necessarily rely on the vocals to be the only focal point there. We had a lot, not that that was always the case, but in most of the other albums I've listened to from Jay Chou, the vocals have been the focal point predominantly. We've had less solo sections. And I like the fact that we're kind of leaning back on the rest of the instruments in most situations to kind of enjoy ourselves and appreciate it. There were never any tracks within here which was super weird or alternative and experimental, and I got warned about that in advance, and I'm not surprised in that. I don't think the quality of the album should be about how weird or wacky a tune is. I think Jay's done enough stuff at this point to kind of requisite maybe having an album like this. Yeah, we reviewed his albums, absolutely, LC. It's pretty wild. I can't really believe we've done it either. It's a crazy journey. I'm hoping the quality of the reviews is slightly improved as we went along, at least the production. Hopefully the audio production has, or the video production. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that sincerely. It's good to be here. We got here before the end of the year as well, which is awesome. I was thinking we're going to get to 10K by the end of the year. We're at past 12 now, so that's good. But getting back to the composition, a few of the highlights for me instrumentally were the piano work. I think Jay starting the track with his piano parts, showing his intense, intricate riffing was spectacular. There were several key solos in here which were just incredibly satisfying to listen to. One in particular, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it was just absolutely berserk. He just went absolutely, completely insane with it. And it was just so... It was like the 4-minute 6 one, I think. What was the 4-minute 6 one? 3, 4, 5, 6. If you don't love me, it's fine, or something like that. Is that track number 6? Hang on, let me go back. Yeah, it was. If you don't love me, fine. Had an absolutely ridiculous piano solo, and that was absolutely tight. We're clearly, we understand our music theory and composition, our chord progressions, our bass lines, etc. It's the foundation of this album. It was instantiated at the beginning. Made a lot of sense there from both a songwriting and like performance perspective. And it's one of Jay's wheelhouses. It's awesome. No complaints at all. I think that in addition to that, we had this wonderful situation where the drums were also, they were great. I was really stoked with what we had with that in respect, because I think that there was a lot of variety with the different drum grooves and patterns, sort of cymbal kick accents, also some fun sort of tom fills and such like that. We didn't sleep on it. We had straight 4/4 and swing grooves. We just had lots of different drum textures, both acoustic, with even some brushes occasionally, and digital samples. And it just was, the intricacy there was welcome. It was never out of place. The percussion was flawless. The drums were dope. The guitar lines were sensational as well. I think that they were far more kind of generic than we've had in some of the other spicier albums, like Dragon Fist and everything like that, and Her Eyelashes, etc. But I don't necessarily mind that. I think there's a lot to appreciate with that, because sometimes you could just have a lot of other kind of zesty elements without having the guitars be too kind of intense. And I think at this point, Jay didn't necessarily want to go explore the new metal stuff any further than he did, or even the bluesy stuff. So the guitar tones made sense. They complemented the chord progressions well and added a little bit of angst and sort of like chromaticism there when needed with some of the bluesy intonations there. The string parts, as well as the bass and any other synth parts, any Foley we had there, all those other elements there are wonderful. And I think as well, in the Pink Ocean track with the ukulele and banjo, where I couldn't discern which was which, a shout out to Jay for making those work like that as well. Oh, we also had like a peeper or something like that as well on one of the tracks, I think, with Ash and Chin, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it Ash and Chin were like, that just was a really interesting, elegant lead motif that I enjoyed the texture of, and it was kind of reminding me of old times, and I kind of enjoyed that a lot. So I think that the instrumental performances were great in here. The structures were good. The motifs in general suited the song lyrics well. There was nothing which was particularly alien. I think if the themes weren't as well connected to the lyrics or the vocal performance, it was because they weren't meant to be, and they were meant to be sort of more general, and that was a stylistic decision by Jay, and that's fine. Studio production wise, it was commercial grade. There were no complaints whatsoever. The presence of the vocals, the mixing, the leveling, the frequency spectrum, nice and wide and stereo field. Lots of interesting concepts, like with the panning of it, a bit of automation occasionally as well, with things blended with the volume and the position of it panned wise. There was dynamic range to it, but not to an extent I'm necessarily happy with. I think that it was still a bit dynamically flat in parts due to how tightly they wanted to make it commercial grade. I think they were dedicated with making the production as pristine as possible, which was to a detriment of the actual life of the record. And I think I prefer some of Jay Chou's older material primarily because it sounds a bit rougher around the edges. It doesn't sound like they were trying to sort of sterilize it. And it's an incredibly strong word, sterilize, but that's just what we have here. A lot of why it sounds safe to me is because they've just got a formula that they can use to get it sounding like it came out of a major label. And that's fine. But that's a very subjective thing, and that doesn't mean it's bad. That's just how I see it. Finally, the studio, that was nice and loud with our pumping, so limiting compression were handled. Now, to answer your comments just before we finish, Chou says, wasn't the most exciting album, but I'm cool with it. I have faith in Jay that his next album will be more mysterious and creative. Jay doesn't usually have 2 safe albums in a row. No, I agree with that. I do remember that, I do remember that being the case. It'll be interesting to see what Jay does next if he does do another album. Jacob says vocal training will help him the way it revived Easton and David Taylor's voice in the later parts of their career. Honestly, I'm surprised that they didn't do vocal training earlier, but I'm glad that Jay Chou is, and I really hope he does in future. Sorry, I didn't want to burp into the microphone. LC says, can't believe we just reviewed all his albums. I commented on that before, but yeah, it's pretty wild. I still haven't gotten over that. I'm not sure what this means. I'm going to go to DeepL and go here. Love me or leave me alone. I'm not sure what that means, but it's okay, Jacob. And haha, after reviewing all the albums, would you like to make a summary of Jay Chou's current career as a musician? I suppose I am somewhat qualified to talk about it, considering I've listened to so much of his music. I think Jay's at a point in his career now where he doesn't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. I would not be surprised if Jay didn't release another album. I would say that at this point in Jay Chou's career, I don't think he will potentially release another album. I think he's done. In the sense that I think that this is basically his... I think that for Jay, the reason this might have taken a while is that for him, it's just there wasn't the urgency that he used to have. I think now that he's got a family, I think he's going to look at this and think, is there really any need for me to really put out more material? I think that the response to it from people expecting more original stuff from Jay is going to potentially temper that, but I think that's a healthy reaction to have to it nonetheless. Because if you're releasing an album, I still believe it should be mostly new material, even with his justification for the, I don't see why Jay would need it. I'm looking at it from a more kind of, I understand early in his career, when he was still growing, when he was getting his label sorted and everything like that, when he needed to make more money. I get why he was putting out more material. But it just seems like Jay's in a really comfortable place. I don't, thematically, creatively see where he would go from this. If he needed to make another album, I can only surmise that it'll probably be because he either needed the money or because he wanted to do something for his wife or family. So he is, okay. I will review the other albums he makes. I don't know if they're going to be as creatively interesting as his previous works, but I think I think that's okay if they aren't. Because he's more than earned the ability to make whatever kind of music he wants. He doesn't have anything to prove to anyone. He's a phenomenal musician. He's basically at the apex right now. Yeah, exactly. That's my point, Jacob. I think that for Jay, he really had to feel like he was going to release this. It's just the greatest works of art sounds to me like an end piece. So maybe don't expect Jay to release anything anytime soon. I think he's going to enjoy this one for a few years. Maybe when his kids get a bit older and they're going to school and he's got a bit more spare time and he's done all the movies and gaming stuff he wants to, he'll release more. But that's my take on it. But anyways, thank you very much for watching my review of Jay Chou's greatest works of art, the album, the 15th and final album, as part of the 10K subscriber special. Thank you to all of you for watching this live stream. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out all of Jay Chou's various albums via his various social medias and the Spotify page. We will be doing more album live streams in October. I plan to do 2, not least because I want to basically do an album at least every 1,000 subs. So we've got at least 2 album reviews coming in. I haven't decided what they are yet. I'm not going to commit until I've had to think about it. It would make sense to ask you guys what you want as well. The Utada comment, the Hikaru Utada review will be probably out tomorrow. I don't like to have a live stream and a Patreon review on the same day. But thank you again for the support. Hopefully you guys learned something about this music. Stay cool, shredders. And it was good to have go watch any of the other 14 live streams I've done on his albums if you want to watch more. Spider hands out. Have a great weekend. Have fun. Take care of your friends and family, okay? And go eat some good food. I'm gonna get some pizza. All right.